All right, well, it's time for the mailbag here on this Friday, April 3rd. We're just a couple of weeks now from WrestleMania. I told you, when you think it's 5 months out, it becomes 2 months out, which becomes 2 weeks out. And here we are, 2 weeks from WrestleMania, 2 weeks left to build. And I have seen, I'm recording this a little bit later than usual, I've seen who the person is that Randy Orton was talking to. And I'm confused. I don't know what's going on. I'll talk about that, and I will give you a spoiler alert right off the bat. So I'll talk about that in a moment. I'll also invite you to join us over on Patreon, because as WrestleMania approaches, you're going to want to get everything ad-free, and we now have a new member, Dan Cardiff. Dan, thank you for joining us at patreon.com/WWE podcast for all of your ad-free needs are right there, and you get to join us for WrestleMania season. And again, no better time to do it. All right, so before I talk about the Randy Orton thing, and yes, we have emails from listeners, that's the core of today's show, but there's two things I want to talk about right off the top. Number one, and that is Drew McIntyre's comments on the Chris Van Vliet show. Chris always does a great job. I like his work. No issues there. That's really not what the topic's going to be here. It's really that Drew McIntyre has come out and said that he would not ever go there with CM Punk on the death of his dog, Larry, right? The beloved feline. So McIntyre discussed his own recent loss. His cat, Chaz, passed away after battling long-term liver disease. And this is, quote, according to Ringside News, while the conversation centered on Chaz's passing, his mention of Punk showed how personal experiences can shift rivalries into moments of empathy. Drew also noted that losing a pet is something that stays with you, regardless of how tough someone appears on the outside. His words suggested that moments like Punk losing Larry resonate far beyond wrestling stories and rivalries. And he said, quote, we haven't posted about it because we just can't bear ourselves to talk about it. So this is the first time I've talked about it, and I don't care if we get emotional on camera. It really hurts that bad. I miss the little guy, and I'll miss him forever. Moments like these remind fans that behind the larger-than-life personas are people. McIntyre's acknowledgement of Punk's grief adds to unexpected respect between the two. And he said that he would never go there. He said, there's, quote, there's one thing I never make fun of CM Punk for. When Larry was gone, my heart broke for him because those little guys are just full of love and nothing else. Well, the internet didn't like my response. I said essentially that really this is where you draw the line? A pet, right? I mean, and I mean that in the sense that I'm fairly sure that we have, as a company, I say we, but the WWE as a company has gone way over the line before with dead wrestlers, including Ric Flair's son that was brought up shortly after he died in a promo against Charlotte. Eddie Guerrero, mentioned dozens and dozens of times since he died 21 years ago. Paul Bearer. Let's see. Oh, most recently, Roman Reigns' dad. Right? Being used in a promo. Yet we're cutting off the line in the sand that we're drawing is a dead pet. That's it? Really, Drew? Really? Now, I understand. Look, family pets, I've gone over this, and I'm not trying to rehash this whole thing that set people ablaze. Family pets are beloved animals. They are. But here's the difference. They're animals, regardless of whether or not you think of them as that, or say it 148 times that, no, they're my daughter, they're my son, they're like my brother. No, they're not. They can't ever be, no matter how many times you wish it to be. They're not like a son. They're not like a dog. Those are terms for humans. See, the human species, that's what those terms are for. And people just don't accept it. And like, whatever, I don't care. You live in your imaginary space and I'll live in reality. But my point is, people for whatever reason, are going crazy because, no, well, you can talk about dead people, like anybody that's been, like, as far as the human species go, everybody is up for grabs. But don't you talk about someone's pet. Really? Explain that to me. I don't get now. Now I've kind of come to the conclusion, look, these people are childless caretakers of animals. I know that to a lot of people, that dumbs it down. No, you're just a caretaker of an animal. Period. Like, that doesn't mean to treat the animal poorly. In fact, caretaker means just the opposite. But my point is you can't equate it with actually having a human being son or daughter. It's not the same thing, not even close. But what it is for a lot of people, and I'm not making fun, and it's just the way that people function, is what they'll substitute animals for people, where they'll try to equate it to having a child. And it's not even close. But I get what they're saying. I'll leave it there. I have no agenda to treat animals poorly. A lot of people are somehow assuming that, and whatever. But boy, a lot of these people are coming out of the woodwork and are not happy, and that's fine. I'm not going to change my tune. I'll just double down on it. That's the way it works. But so anyway, I guess we're drawing the line at dead pets when it comes to furthering storylines. I actually think it would have been very effective for Drew to bring that up. The crowd would have got all over him. It would have been beautiful. So I'll leave it there. Secondly, the reveal, and I'll give you guys a moment to pause because Amanda will go over this more in depth on her SmackDown review, and I will too on my weekend review, which may be a little funky this weekend, but we'll see how that goes. The reveal of who the person could have been or was that Randy Orton was talking to on the phone. The expectations immediately got lowered when we found out that Randy Orton was going to be revealing it on SmackDown. Because when it's being revealed on SmackDown, it is immediately going to be 6 levels lower than it would have otherwise been if it were revealed at WrestleMania, for example. So The Rock, you immediately knew, was out. Gone. You knew likely Kevin Owens, as many people thought could happen, is out. And that left, like Ted DiBiase Jr. or Vince McMahon, and you know Vince is out. So you're thinking Ted DiBiase, but no, it was, and spoiler, here it comes, it was Pat McAfee. So Pat McAfee was the guy he was talking to on the phone. Very bizarre. Cody getting booed, as he should have. They didn't even put a microphone in front of his face, and they were smart to do that. The crowd didn't want to boo Randy Orton, despite the things he said. Didn't want to. They're just like, yeah, whatever, make fun of us, make fun of our city. I don't care. We see through it. Essentially, that's what they did. And Pat McAfee attacked Cody Rhodes and hit him in the nuts. And Randy Orton beats him down too. And what Pat said on the microphone, beyond the reveal of Pat McAfee, which I don't think anybody saw on their card, so certainly a swerve. But what he said on the mic was that the way that this company has evolved is total shit. And that everybody in the back is circle jerking each other. And that the forgotten Attitude Era fan is, deserves some respect. So I guess he's trying to represent the Attitude Era fans, like people exactly like myself who grew up in the Attitude Era. And we have to watch, according to Pat McAfee, a bunch of 5'5" guys have 45-minute Iron Man matches. First of all, that's not happening, Pat. Not even close. In fact, the majority of guys in WWE, men in WWE, are well above the average height of a man in the United States. I mean, it's just not even close. I get what he's saying. The premise is it's gotten smaller, it's gotten more athletic, and generally it has, but I think he was certainly over-exaggerating. And he's talking about the people that go around and say, what? And if you smell, yeah, well, again, we did that, but 20 years ago. And most of us were teenagers. If you're an Attitude Era fan, then you're likely a teenager then, which means now you're in your 30s or 40s. And he's trying to, I guess, speak on behalf of the millennials who were fans back then. And he used the F word on the show, which was very crazy. I mean, I don't know the last time someone's done that outside of Cody Rhodes telling The Rock to go F himself. So that was a kind of a shock and awe, I guess. Pat McAfee turning heel, joining Randy Orton, and saying, basically that last week's show was it was the least or the lowest rated SmackDown, and that WrestleMania still hasn't sold out because of whatever reason. And how can it not sell out because Randy Orton's there? Well, I'll tell you, Pat, it might have something to do with the money. But the fact is that we have Pat McAfee as the reveal. Now, I'm still not counting out that The Rock could still somehow be involved in this, or The Rock could be involved in Punk and Roman. I don't think we should count The Rock out completely. He's filming, his filming schedule has conveniently also gotten in line with WrestleMania. I believe he just wrapped up the latest film he was doing. So it's possible The Rock still is there for those that are interested in The Rock being involved. He still could be in either main event. The other big reveals of Chris Jericho aren't going to happen. Obviously, Chris Jericho is not a part of WWE now. He has joined AEW and rejoined, I should say. And then Vince McMahon could be involved, although the latest with Vince McMahon, kind of a lot of news here up front here for today's episode, but I promise we'll get to emails, is the Janelle Grant case has taken a new twist. She's filed new allegations or come forth with them, and I don't understand why she wouldn't, if these are true, wouldn't have just included them in the original civil suit. Instead, all of a sudden, she's having this epiphany. Oh, yeah, and also, he did this stuff. If there's not somebody with an agenda right there. Now, look, most of us have not gone through the details of the case, and now new case from Janelle Grant. Most of us have not. But just from a common sense perspective, if you zoom out and look at this, there's nothing criminal here. There's nothing that has been filed criminally. This is not a criminal case. This is a civil suit. And so Janelle Grant claimed all of these things, and there's some evidence for it. Brock Lesnar getting put back into this hot seat again. And it's very interesting that the timing that Janelle Grant has chosen has been right before WrestleMania, as Vince is starting to come dipping his toe just ever so slightly back into the public eye. You see his name pop up every now and then. A clip comes up of him walking or greeting a fan or whatever. The general fan base is warming up to Vince McMahon as a whole, I think, into being interested in seeing him again. And just conveniently, Janelle Grant's like, you know what? No, you know what? I'm going to just bring this up now and just kind of make a new case about it. Now, I don't know if what her new allegations are claiming is true. I just have speculation, and I think it's a healthy speculation, that if you were going to try to bury a guy like Vince McMahon and get as much money as you can out of him and publicly shame him, why wouldn't you have dumped all of this in the first suit? Where you just like, you know what? I'm going to save the good parts. I'm going to save the good parts for something else, somewhere else down the line. You have to wonder if there is an agenda where what she's saying is false. And it's simply to try to keep Vince McMahon under her thumb, to just smear him for the sake of smearing him. And I have no doubt that Vince probably did something weird with her. That just seems to fit Vince McMahon's personality. He stepped down, as chairman 3 years ago. We all know that. He wouldn't have done that if he had otherwise felt he had a strong case against her and he could just dismiss her. So something probably happened. I'm not saying that there isn't, and I'm not saying his actions, if true, are warranted. No. But you do have to wonder with somebody like Janelle Grant, the timing of this is suspicious. And if Vince McMahon fights back, he should. He has the legal right to. Then we probably won't see Vince again for a long time. It's almost like he was getting reset in the minds of fans, and she comes along and goes, and She's like, I got some new stuff. I don't know if this is true or not, but I'm going to put it out there. And I don't know if it's true or not either, but you do have to wonder, why are we supposed to just take everything this woman says that none of us know at face value? Because what? Believe all women? Is that the slogan that a lot of people are going to be pioneering on this one? I've heard that already. Because she's a woman, we're just supposed to believe her? Yeah, I have a hard time with that line of thinking, I have to say. How about we just look at the evidence and not worry about if she's a man or a woman? How about that? We just look at the evidence, okay? That's what we do. People, again, today want to be vilified or made the hero based on their immutable characteristics. Like if you're a man or woman, black, white, whatever. I mean, everybody has an agenda based on completely irrelevant facts about themselves. So anyway, some pieces of news here, big pieces of news coming out just before WrestleMania. Again, between the dog comment again and Janelle Grant and Randy Orton and Pat McAfee. Lots of stuff to talk about. But let's hear from you. So let's get to it. And those of you on Patreon do get priority. So let's jump into you guys. And where do we start? I'm going to start with James. And he says, it's been a while since I've wrote in, and with WrestleMania on the horizon, I thought I'd give my thoughts on the build so far. Raw on Monday was an improvement on the previous weeks, and I feel the criticism with Gunther versus Seth is over the top. They gave Braun right until the last minute to try to fit in, but going with Gunther is the next best choice. However, what I'm disappointed in is the build for the other matches. How did they decide who is qualified for the ladder match? Why does LA Knight have a match? Doesn't LA Knight have a match yet? Or Carmelo Hayes? Creative have been lazy, and it's carried on from last year. Last note, I don't want The Rock to be on Orton's mystery phone call. He already ruined 3 very promising storylines, James. Well, you got your wish, James, on the last one. The Rock is not the man on the phone call. Again, he could still appear in some form or fashion in either main event. He could slide himself in and it would make sense. But at least, yeah, you got your wish there. As far as LA Knight, I don't know why he doesn't have a match. I mean, LA Knight can't stay up on the ropes. How many times we've seen him slip and fall is just comical. He needs to stop stepping on the ropes and stick to a ground game. Even during his entrance, just don't go on the ropes. It's just, or if you're going to do it in a front-facing fashion. You have much more control. He stands on the ropes in a way that gives himself way too much, not too much, but it really shrinks the room for error on the way that he stands on the ropes during his entrance. So I don't know why. I don't think LA Knight will not be involved. He will be in some form or fashion. He'll probably be involved in the IC title match. That's my guess. Carmelo Hayes, I don't know. I mean, boy, they did him dirty, did they not? U.S. title gone. Sami Zayn, yes. Again, they can make that a multi-person match too. We'll see what Friday Night SmackDown brings. I don't have all the results yet. As far as who is qualified for the ladder match, sometimes we're just supposed to accept it. And you know what? I'm ready for WrestleMania. So in this case, I'm a big fan of understanding who and why people are in matches. There's so many matches on WrestleMania now that I don't know if they feel they have time to decide. They could, over the next 2 weeks, do some kind of quick qualifier. That would eat up a lot of TV time. I don't know if they will, but I have no problem with them at this point just saying, you know what, it's just these people. I mean, we've seen worse creative. And going back to your first point about Gunther being the best choice, yes, he is. Oh, absolutely. I have no issue with Seth and Gunther from an on-paper perspective. The story doesn't make a ton of sense. Maybe we'll find out more, and I would expect we find out more on Raw. But this match is going to be fine. It's a cold match. They could build as best they can over the next 2 weeks, but I don't expect this to be long-term. I think Braun Breaker will show up at WrestleMania or shortly thereafter to pick up his feud right where it left off with Seth. This is just a, hey, you're really good. We don't have anybody for you. Chris Jericho's out. Sorry, Gunther. And with Seth, hey, buddy, sorry, Braun Breaker is not available. He can't make it. He's not going to be cleared. What do we do? Oh, hi. My name's Gunther. My name's Seth. Nice to meet you. I mean, why not? Yeah, you can't have a bad match with these two. It's WrestleMania worthy on paper. Why not? I don't have any. I really don't. What else are you going to do? What are the other options for these two men? So, thanks, James. All right. Let's go to, let's see. Oh, Matt, another patron. And he says, here's my in-person review of SmackDown in Pittsburgh. All right. Thank you. Mostly families, but a lot more groups of guys 18 to 40 than I remember seeing at past events. Most of the kids had Cody or Cena merch, and most of the guys 18 to 40 had Austin, Rock, Taker, and Randy merch. Well, that's really funny you mentioned that, because it's exactly the demographic that Pat McAfee was speaking to tonight. It's exactly what's happening here. And having this demographic of young kids lean towards Cody and Cena, I mean, that is as unsurprising as it gets. And I appreciate the confirmation, though. Danhausen merch was everywhere, and during his commercial break segment, he got a massive pop. That's good. I'm glad for him. I really am. It's a fascinating case study of Danhausen. All right. Randy and Rhea seemed to get the biggest reaction. There were definitely some boos for Cody. I even got a small Cody sucks chant going. You're doing the Lord's work, my friend. The Lord's work. Not sure how it came across on TV, but the boos were so loud in the arena for Jade, we couldn't even hear her on the mic. That is impressive, given that Jade has a pretty commanding voice. That's impressive. Good for you guys. And overall, I think it was a good SmackDown. The ending was extremely lackluster, and I know being there in person makes it better, but I think it had some nice progressions toward WrestleMania. Thanks for reading my email. Have a good weekend. Well, no, I appreciate you taking the time to write in and give me your observations. It's always nice to see what they do and what happens that we may not see. But yeah, it's progression. And I always just hope that when you come out of the event, you're like, you know what? That was worth my money. Because you are trading your time and money and the time you spent to get that money to go to this event. And that's the ultimate goal, is to come out of there and go, you know what? I feel like I got my money's worth. In today's day and age, with the ticket prices the way they are, it's more and more difficult to proclaim that. Okay. So thank you. And we have, let's see, another Raw review here. An in-person Raw review, though. That was SmackDown. Excuse me. The in-person Raw review. This is from longtime listener, first-time patron. Thanks for the shout out. Well, thank you so much, Eddie. Eddie, I believe, right? I must say, I look forward to your episodes and find them far more entertaining than many of the WWE episodes. Your commentary, perspective, and sometimes colorful rants have made my re-immersion significantly easier. Well, I'm glad. I'm not for everybody. I know that. I'm not made to entertain everybody, and I'm not going to certainly try to appeal to everybody. They think that comes off phony, and when you're not somebody that's authentic, people can easily tell, and it pushes people away. And sometimes you'll listen or watch something and you go, yeah, I don't know, it just didn't grab me. Something ain't right. A lot of times it's because of inauthenticity, and I'm not trying to pretend to be anybody. And I would just hope everybody takes that advice to whatever you're doing. There's your inspiration for the day. All right. I've been watching WWF WWE since the late 80s. Oh, all right. So you're ahead of me, my friend. You are ahead of me. If you've been watching that long, I'm going to guess you're 5 to 10 years older than me. I remember trying to locate a decent enough cable TV. Do kids even know what that is today? Do they even know what the concept of a cable TV is? They're going to say, wait, what do you mean cable TV? You mean a streaming TV, Dad? Like it's a smart TV? What's a cable TV? I'm telling you, I bet you some kids have no idea what that means. So you were looking for a decent enough cable TV customer that would allow me to pay for the pay-per-view events. Thanks, Grandpa. At 85, WrestleMania 1 got me hooked. Okay, so yeah, you're definitely older than me. I was born in 85. So yeah, I was born the year that WrestleMania was, so kind of cool. All right, I thought WrestleMania 3 was epic. I rarely missed Saturday morning wrestling. Later, I loved Monday Night Wars and then was reinvigorated by the Attitude Era. But then I spent my free time with my daughters and all their activities and events. I now have the time to engage in the WWE the way I did in my youth. Please let me know. Okay, so that's cool. It's interesting to see what brings people back and what pushes them away. And, that's certainly understandable. I mean, you have your free time family, man. Yeah, that's exactly. And you now have the time to engage with WWE. And boy, if you took today's product and just one episode of today's product, and as you're watching the 80s during WrestleMania 1, WrestleMania 3, and you took today's product, imagine showing somebody in the mid to late 80s a 2026 Monday Night Raw. They wouldn't even know what the hell they're watching. The product would be unrecognizable. It would be, if you were to show it to somebody, I bet their reaction would be, is this a parody? What is this supposed to be? Am I supposed to be laughing? Why does it seem like I'm watching a movie? Because it's become so produced compared to what it was presented as in the late 80s, and so polished that I really would love if it was possible to get in a time machine. You're from the 80s, maybe you have a DeLorean, I don't know, but would you be able to travel back and show somebody? I really wish you could do it and just see the reaction. Some diehard fan be like, hey, watch this. Give me your impressions. Give me your thoughts. Give me your words. It'd be fascinating. Okay, so please let me know what you think of these impressions. Pick and choose only what you want to comment on. CM Punk, only one who can truly cut a promo. Best decision Triple H made to bring him back. Would like to see him against Gunther. Well, yeah, I think it'll eventually happen. It's going to. It's certainly been a smart business decision to bring him back. It's paid dividends. Yeah, no doubt about it. He is in a kind of a category of his own with promos. He's talented. Love him or hate him, he just is. Cody Rhodes, please turn him heel and out of the championship scene. He's not Dusty. I miss him. Needs a change. Well, I think Pat McAfee kind of outlined that in a very kind of meta, but somewhat in a storyline way. It was very out of left field to have Pat McAfee delivering this to the fans. Very weird. So I by the way, I'm also trying to, while I did criticize it a little bit, it's somewhat interesting. The content of what he said is interesting. It's just that it's Pat McAfee who said it. So it's kind of like, why Pat? He's a beloved commentator. Randy's a beloved wrestler. It's kind of hard for me to absorb what's happening here, but the content of what he said is very interesting. And so, they said that Cody embodies everything that's wrong with wrestling. It's almost as if they're like listening to the show, and I don't think they are. I'm not claiming that or trying to take credit for it or think that we're that big that WWE's listening. But I will say that there's pretty much everything Pat McAfee said tonight is in just foundationally a lot of what we say here. So it's just interesting. It's almost as if I had control of creative from a promo standpoint for a night. Not everything, but all right. Dominic Mysterio, I think he could be a bigger draw than Cody if they do the face turn correctly. So much charisma. Well, it almost happened a couple times, and they pushed back. Dom was a babyface last year when he won the Intercontinental title at WrestleMania, and they just weren't ready. And then later in the year, they tried to, I forget what the scenario was, but the fans were starting to really get behind Dom, and they just kind of cooled it off, and they're like, what are we doing? Dom is going to be, I would agree, a massive babyface when they finally get the machine behind him. I'd agree. Sami Zayn, I really enjoy his in-ring, but I can't take the whining anymore. Let him win the championship for a bit and move on. Well, the whining, I think, is what will ultimately turn him heel. I don't want to give him as a babyface the championship. I want him to continue to whine and complain and be annoying backstage like a fly pestering Cody Rhodes. I don't want to just give him that belt until they're ready to turn him heel, if that's the ultimate goal. Randy Orton, as a face, he's always been a heel, and he will always receive face treatment from fans. Needs to win 15. There's no chance of WWE fans totally booing Randy Orton. It's not going to happen. And they gave it a pretty good try this past, SmackDown on tonight. They tried. And it's going to be triple hard given the fact that they're in St. Louis. But Randy Orton even tried to hammer the fans. That didn't work. The fans are just like, they literally sat there and go, yeah, whatever. Sure. Yeah, our city sucks. Our teams suck. Okay, fine, whatever. I'm just going to cheer you. That's what the fans said. They said, screw your stuff. I know what you're trying to do. We're not going to buy it. We're happy to be here. You're a legend in the business. You're still somehow wrestling better than you ever have. We're not going to boo you because we understand the level of star that you are. And by the way, this is your hometown. So Randy Orton is in a tough spot. And the company is too. If they are truly trying to turn Randy, it's going to be a uphill struggle all the way. And I don't think they'll ever reach the top. So yeah, good luck. Good luck. Drew McIntyre, he needs to be champion and not get screwed over every time. We need at least one heel champion. I would agree. I'll pick a couple more here. You've got quite a few. Spend some time on this, my friend. Seth Rollins, sad he was injured. He can be the catalyst for so many stories and can be matched with anyone. Femi, monster face. Let him win. Breaker isn't available because of injury. Let him fly. Well, yeah, Femi is a monster. I have yet to really understand who and what Femi is as kind of a new viewer of Femi. I didn't watch him in NXT. And I understand loosely the story of Brock and Femi. Brock eliminated him from the Rumble. That's like literally it. Other than that, the majority has been built on, I am big man, you big man, we fight. That's essentially been the logic because they haven't spoken at all. So that's it. It's kind of a caveman approach. I'm not saying it's a bad one, and I have people actually claiming. I've seen some of the top streamers and podcasters saying that, it's been the best build thus far. What are you talking about? Femi and Brock Lesnar has been the best build? How? You have Femi coming out doing the strut to come out to, as Brock Lesnar's watching him, Femi's coming out strutting. What? Think about how weird that is. Again, I'm not crapping on this program. I think they will deliver. I think they both will deliver in a big way at WrestleMania, and Femi should be the one to win. I agree with all of that. But to say that the build of Femi Brock Lesnar has been superior in any way is just, it's a fallacy. It's a fantasy too. It's not even, how? What build? They haven't done anything. They've just they've gotten physical pretty much right off the bat. That's it. They've explained nothing as to why we are attacking each other either. Like, what's the story? Why do I hate you? Why do you hate me? Why? Yeah, that's it. So, all right, I'll pick one more because you got a lot here. Let's see here. Oh, okay. I'll pick Roman Reigns. I'll bite. Roman Reigns, part-timer. Make him a Hall of Famer. He needs to acknowledge that it is his time. Well, I wouldn't say it's his time. I mean, Roman Reigns, if he wanted to go back full-time, he could. Roman Reigns has been doing this a hot minute now. He's smartened himself up to realizing, number one, his priorities are his family, and that's great. Good for him. And he's putting much more time on his body than men and women did not too long ago when live events were 6 days a week and you didn't get any time off, and now they're much more family friendly. The company is, and that's actually the one thing I will say for all the shit that I give TKO of their greed and everything else, and it is just egregious. And their arrogance to fans, thinking that the fans are going to just buy it, and unfortunately they buy shit up, which just emboldens TKO to continue to price things at the level they do because fans continue to buy it, which is, again, we need to stop buying stuff. But for all the crap I give them, they have been, and I am pro this, they have been much more flexible with people taking time off, the performers taking time off, the wrestlers, and being able to have a little bit more of a balance in your life. You know, it's not just all WWE all the time. I can appreciate that. That's cool. I like that for them, for the wrestlers. I really think that's a great change from the Vince McMahon era of pro wrestling. All righty, Eddie, thank you so much. My goodness, you spent so much time on this. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pin this email because you've spent a lot of time out. Maybe I'll come back to it next week and talk about some more. You've got pretty much everybody on here. My goodness, good for you, Eddie. All right, Brock and Obafemi. Speaking of which, it's Izzy from Leeds, England. Cool. Love the show as always. Been listening for a few years. I just wanted to offer another point of view for Brock and Obafemi. I don't think Oba needs a reason for challenging Brock. Technically, Brock issued an open challenge and Oba answered. And why wouldn't he? He's trying to establish himself as a top strong guy in the business. And so, of course, he wants to accept Brock's offer. It's as simple as that. Also, his goofy walk, as you put it, I think was needed. Oh, you think it was? Okay. When he came out, Brock was amped up, ready for a fight, looking angry, while Oba was just like, yeah, look at me doing my thing. I'm not scared of you. You just stand and wait for me while I strut to the ring. It sends the message that he's not scared of Brock, and it's almost cocky. It's not a personal feud for Oba, so he doesn't need to come out all guns blazing. He's just there to tell the world he thinks that he's capable of bringing down the beast. I think he's doing a great job of getting in Brock's head. Maybe that'll change and things will become more aggressive and personal as we get closer to WrestleMania. But for now, I think this is working perfectly. That's my opinion. Anyway, well, no, I think that's a fair argument. And I understand what you're saying. Back to the walk, while Brock is all amped up, Obafemi comes out and does his strut. I get your perspective. That's valid, but there really are two ways to look at it. And your way's not wrong. I don't think mine's wrong. Otherwise, I wouldn't hold this thought, right? Or hold this opinion. It'd be kind of silly to hold an opinion I think is wrong. But I think that for me, looking at this, Obafemi, it's almost like, hey, let me do my gimmick. I've got my gimmick. It just took me out of the moment. It's almost like he went into entrance mode. You know what I mean? For me, I looked at it as Obafemi going entrance mode. I don't care who or what is going on inside the ring. Let me just do my entrance. It doesn't feel organic, doesn't feel authentic, doesn't feel like a true sports simulation to me. Do you know what I mean? That's how that's how I want WWE to be presented, which does not align with the current viewpoint of pretty much anybody in TKO or a lot of the fans. So yeah, I'm probably in a small percentage, but that's how I viewed that. It looked goofy. It did, in my view. But again, if you look at it as, oh, he was just trying to be cocky and I'm just going to do my thing and you don't affect me. Sure. Yeah, I can understand that. I just think that for me, in a sports simulation environment, being if this were truly a competition, nobody would actually do that. If you're trying to make me believe that this is a real fight, which I hope is the goal, but I don't think it is anymore, then that took me totally out of the moment. And it just comes down to, what are your needs as a wrestling fan? We just have different ones. That's all. And as far as Obafemi, we all agree Obafemi has to win. He just has to. You would think. Thank you, and thanks for listening for so long, Izzy, and hope all is well over the pond there. All right. Let's go to Sam. Quick question. Who or why do you think Orton has remained more relevant than Edge? Well, Orton's been consistently in WWE for the better part of, 25 years? Versus Edge, who was forced to retire in 2011, made a return in 2020, and then, kind of was off again, on again in WWE until he went to AEW. So, I mean, when you say relevant, I'm guessing you probably mean in WWE or just overall. Even overall, I would say Randy Orton's become been more relevant because he's been more consistent. Short answer there. All right. Okay. This is, let's see, from Zachary. And I think this is the final email. I have another one, but it's kind of a follow-up from last week. So let me just go to Zachary and we'll pretty much put a bow on tonight. He says, hi. First, want to thank you for your unfiltered, blunt, honest reactions to the product we are currently consuming. I love your sense of humor and willingness to call something for what it is. That kind of commentary is very rare in today's society, so it's a nice breath of fresh air listening to your show. Well, cool. I don't know why there are so many podcasts, and there's a lot of good ones and ones that are much, much bigger than mine. I'm not going to sit here and pretend mine's the most successful. It's not. It's difficult. It's a lot of grind, a lot of marketing, which I simply don't have the time to do. And we're a small shop here. So maybe we'll get there someday. But I've noticed that a lot of those bigger platforms, they just kind of deliver on the analysis of the storyline. They don't seemingly give their opinions in a strong way. They're almost too shy to take a stance on something. And it almost seems as if, for a lot of them, that they're almost working for the company. Now, I know a lot of them aren't, but it almost comes across that way. The perception is that a lot of these big platforms they're very analytical and robotic. They don't seemingly humanize. Like, if you were to just talk to your friend, and maybe this is the way that I'm trying to create this show without even knowing it. If you were to just talk to your friend behind closed doors about wrestling, that's how I guess I've come across with this show. If I was to talk to a friend who loves wrestling about it and just give them my dead honest opinion with no audience, just that person, this is how I would talk about it. And that's, I think, what makes this feel more like a breath of fresh air than a lot of these produced, very well done and very analytical, very intelligent. I gotta say, a lot of them are very good. They are, and they're big for a reason, but they do lack that kind of human element of like, okay, well, what do you really think though? Give us your opinion. And a lot of them will just kind of kowtow to WWE because maybe they have connections there, or they don't even give their opinion. They just they're almost a commentator for the product themselves, if that makes sense. I started following WWE in 2020, again, right before the pandemic, and I have been watching shows semi-consistently since then, mainly the PLEs. I was fortunate enough to attend WrestleMania 40 a couple years ago. Oh, wow. And it was certainly an experience I will never forget. Unfortunately, like many other fans, I feel that WWE has lost its luster after that event and hasn't quite been the same since. Not to beat a dead horse, but the weekly shows seem to all follow the same redundant structure. I used to love the anticipation and excitement of returning legends, but now it seems that the only purpose of their return is social media buzz and nothing more creatively. WWE can't even seem to decide on a consistent theme for WrestleMania graphics and material. That being said, I absolutely love Randy Orton. He's my favorite by a country mile and has been since I started watching wrestling again. I literally jumped off my couch when he defeated Cody at Elimination Chamber and advanced to the main event of WrestleMania. Fingers crossed he wins number 15 next month and gets one step closer to passing John Cena. I think The Rock coming out with Randy at some sort of alliance and causing overpushed Cody to lose would be awesome and add some closure to that whole story. Sorry for the long email. Just wanted to say thank you and share my thoughts. Well, no, don't worry about it. Totally fine. It really wasn't that long, Zach. Thank you. So, first of all, jealous you were able to go to Philly. That was a hell of a WrestleMania. I have to say that the finish to WrestleMania 40 was certainly very good. I did like it a lot. But so many people are talking about the best ending to WrestleMania ever. Well, hold on. That covers a lot of ground for me. Again, you attending in person, being there in person, of course, amps up how you view it. And it should, right? Because you were there live to experience it. There's nothing like that. But I mean, I look at wrestling. I've been personally, I've seen every WrestleMania since WrestleMania 14 is where I really got into it. WrestleMania 14 till now. So we're almost heading on 30 years. And there's a lot of great moments ending WrestleMania. Probably the worst was last year. The best one, I mean, I have to go back and look at how they ended a lot of them. But what about Stone Cold? WrestleMania 15, climbing the mountain. 17, arguably one of the best WrestleManias of all time in Houston. 19, it was that, what did they end with in 19? Was it Brock Lesnar and Kurt Angle for the championship, Undisputed Championship? I think that was it. Because I know, didn't Triple H and Chris Jericho also fight, I believe, in, that was the semi-main. Anyway, so I'm saying that covers a lot of ground for me. And WrestleMania has lost its luster. It has. You know why? Because it's not about the wrestling anymore, and everybody gets a ticket to go. So it's no longer an exclusive club. It's everybody gets a ticket because you're on the team. And that should not be the case. And it won't ever reverse itself. It's become too big to do that. It's going to eat itself. It's now about celebrities. We have people like, and again, Logan Paul is an exception here. He came from the YouTube and Vine, for those old enough to remember that app, community, and he's grown a hell of an audience, but he's actually a next level athlete. He's incredible. But you're getting people from crossover. Now you're getting I Show Speed. Jake Paul kind of dipped his toe in for a little bit. You've had NFL players. Pat McAfee, for God's sakes, is here because of that. You've had, celebrities from Shaq getting involved in matches. Remember Snooki getting involved? So there's been an evolution of celebrities, kind of injecting themselves as a core part of WrestleMania. And some of them end up being full-time wrestlers. So it's a different product now. And I don't like how everyone gets a jersey as a fan. Everybody in the locker room would disagree with me probably, because that would mean they don't get featured on the show, and that could affect their payout, all the rest. And they want to be a part of WrestleMania. And I get that. But you know what makes people better, I think, is to make it competitive instead of just, oh, you're not on WrestleMania? All right, we'll find something for you. And not everybody gets included, but my point is it's expanding and expanding and expanding into places that I don't think it needs to. But it thinks that bigger is better, and I don't think it is. I mean, you have the camera panning into the crowd half of the show, pointing out the different celebrities. Adam Sandler, hell, Jelly Roll's going to have a match. You get all these celebrities in there, and it becomes less about the wrestling and much more about the pomp and circumstance surrounding it. It's a lot of, as Jim Ross would say, a lot of sizzle and less steak. So I would agree that the lore of WrestleMania has really started to come down steadily. And, not that the matches were ever really horrible. You don't ever have terrible matches per se. It's rare at WrestleMania to have a horrible match. It's just that it doesn't have the feeling it did because what they're focusing on is not the wrestling anymore. If that makes sense. Like, I know it's called WrestleMania, but it's becoming less and less about wrestling. All right. Thank you so much, Jack. One last quick email, and this is from Curtis. He said, Matt, I wanted you to see this for yourself and show you some shirt prices that we're talking about just so you can actually see it. This is horrible. I haven't bought a WWE shirt since 2019 because it's just not worth it. Well, let me open your attachments here. Hopefully they're not viruses. I'm taking a chance. Yeah, this is ridiculous. All right, so you took a screenshot here, and this is Canada, right? It's Canadian prices. Okay. So let me look at this. For a white men's John Cena WrestleMania there and back shirt, $70. For a women's black John Cena farewell t-shirt and Las Vegas shirt, $49. Oh my God. Let's see. You also have, this is just stupid, a men's cream colored Undertaker crossbone hoodie. What would you guess that is? Probably like what, 50? No. $84. Oh, it ships free. Well, I fucking hope so. You know, I hope it does. Maybe I hope it ships itself and puts itself on my body for $84. Holy shit. And then a men's Antisocial Club WWE Black Undertaker shirt, $77. Is this for real? Again, t-shirts should be mandated by law at $25. You want to go to a hoodie? You can go $35. I would even accept $40 for a hoodie, but no more. That should be by law forever in perpetuity. I mean, this is ridiculous. I mean, here's what we do, guys. Again, you want to see these prices come down? Don't buy it. Don't buy it. Oh, God, I'm scared to open your last attachment. I really am. I don't know if I can see it. Oh, my God. How about a men's black Triple H Civil Regime Iron Discipline, Disciple Boxy t-shirt. If you're wondering what that is, it's just kind of a little bit of an odd shaped t-shirt. It is what it says it is. It's kind of boxy with a Triple H logo, specialized Triple H logo. You want to just take a gander how much that is? $91. The boxy t-shirt is more than the goddamn sweatshirt. It has less material and costs more. This is insane. I don't even know why people are buying this stuff is beyond me. I mean, of course, I can't regulate what people do with their money. But the way that you make the biggest impact is not by complaining on social media. I'll send a tweet to WWE. I'll show them. No. Here's what you do. It's actually silence by not purchasing anything. And we have to do that en masse, of course. That will get their attention. Especially TKO, who is the most outwardly transparently money-hungry company that I've seen in my lifetime. That will certainly get their attention. So, I'll leave it there. Thank you, everybody, for joining me here. I want to quickly scan, because those of you on Patreon I don't want to miss. If you sent me a message while I was recording this or something like that. So I'm going to just take a quick look. By the way, you can message me directly in Patreon if you're interested. Nope. Okay. We're clear there. Good. So then I will leave it there. If you guys want to join me on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/WWE podcast, or go to Spotify, Apple, everywhere that you can get your podcasts, and give us a 5-star rating and review it. And again, I hope that you guys made it this far. I know there's a lot of animal lovers out there, and this is not me attacking animals. It's just being logical with my approach, just using reason here, that we can now bring up dead people all we want, including Reed's son, who overdosed. We can bring that up on television, but a dead pet is off limits, according to Drew McIntyre. I mean, that's just, that makes no sense to me. Yeah, for me, nothing's off limits in wrestling. I mean, you want to further an angle? Let's do it. All right. I'll leave it there. Thanks, everybody. And we'll be chatting in a couple days for the weekend review. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.